The following report, which I believe to be 100% credible, alleged by a true American patriot, Field McConnell, reports that Barry Soetoro has been executed for treason by firing squad at Gitmo. Perhaps Lady Justice took a red pill. Also disclosed in this report is the Child Protective Services court judiciary corruption and the fact that I've reported many times on this channel that our justice system is run by the British Crown and what the President has done behind the scenes to rid this planet of the 13 satanic bloodlines. The world is about to change. All traitors and child traffickers will be executed. Hallelujah, amen. Well, this is a very interesting story from beforeitsnews.com. You scroll down here a bit. It says, Obama executed by firing squad at Gitmo by Field McConnell. There has been a lot of rumors about where is Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Obama, the fake 44th President of the United States. And this article seems to be feeding that story. We have a video here. Maybe I'll try to download it and include it here so you don't have to go searching for it. I have a link in the description just in case. Here you go. Shocking information has come from Field McConnell. I wouldn't call it shocking. I would call it relieving. Retired U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Field McConnell says it's been reported to him that Barack Obama was executed on September 29, 2019 by firing squad at Gitmo. This information starts at about the 17-minute mark, but the entire interview is very good, so you'll want to listen to all of it. McConnell went to the same high school as the illegal President Barack Obama in Hawaii. He said Obama's death occurred on the same day that General Dunsford got to Gitmo to oversee the military tribunals. McConnell states that the two big issues are 9/11 and pedophilia. He says anybody who has trafficked children is going to be executed, as well as anybody aware of the 9/11 treason and didn't report it as required. 9/11 was done by elements within our own government. Been saying this for 18 years now. By law, anybody having direct knowledge of treason is compelled to report it to one state governor or one chief judge or justice of any one state. So anybody who was aware of the false 9/11 operation and who didn't report it is guilty of treason. He also states there is going to be a big celebration and announcement on the 10th of November, which is the birthday of the U.S. Marines founded in 1775 on this date. Lots covered here, including one interesting tidbit he says about the U.S. justice system. He says Trump is going to make all lawyers part of the Bar Association repledge themselves to the United States, since all bar members currently work for the Queen of England. I've been saying that too. Anytime you see a flag with that gold fringe around it, it's maritime law working for the Queen of England. I have no idea if some or any of this information is true. I'm not saying it's true. I'm simply reporting what Field McConnell says in this interview. McConnell does have a lot of intel sources, it seems, but there is so much disinformation being thrown around by spooks, there's no way to tell if this is true until Obama surfaces again. Many people are reporting he's been missing for a while now. Either Field McConnell has a lot of good intel here, which will be proven correct very shortly, or his sources are intentionally putting out a happy talk to make patriots relax. If the latter is the case, then I'll be very disappointed in him and his sources. He seems sincere that he at least is being told this information, so we'll just have to see what happens. If Obama was executed for treason, which he should have been if we had a justice system and a real country, then we can only hope Obama repented for all his evil, such as supporting the killing of God's babies and accepted Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior before he was dispatched. Jesus is the only hope any of us have. Amen. You deny him, he denies you to the Father. Okay.
And welcome back to Steel Truth. I am joined with Field McConnell. And if you have not seen this man on his broadcast, Able Danger, you are in a treat tonight because we are playing the field with Mr. McConnell. We're going to be covering we're going to be continuing the coverage on child trafficking that we started earlier this evening with Patrick. Field studied at the United States Naval Academy. He is a veteran in the military as well as an airline pilot. He was with the United States Air Force. Very incredible, storied history. Too much to go into in this short amount of time that we have. But he's also behind the notion that the British Crown agents are behind all of these false flag terrorist attacks, child stealing to order and control Britain and the United States governments since the early 1800s. Field, it is a pleasure to have you here on Steel Truth. How are you?
Well, it's my pleasure and it's my mandate, and I've got a totally lucid, open mind. Ask me any question once I take my red hat off.
All right. Love it. Thank you so much, sir. Well, it's an honor to have you on. I want to talk about the Children's Crusade because this is a very important organization. And as we noted on the previous segment with Patrick, the administration now is looking for whistleblowers to come forward and start talking about what they know in the child protective services and foster care system, because there have been allegations for years, and now we're starting to get real stories. I've been reporting on them, as have many reporters, about various victims and the tragedy and the horror show known as CPS, an organization that was really funded by the Clintons and has made a cottage industry of tearing apart families and getting a lot of people rich in the meantime and destroying lives of these beautiful young souls. So tell me about the Children's Crusade. And from which direction you are taking. In other words, who is helping get you guys off the ground and giving you the direction in which you're pursuing to help and support families that have been basically abused by the foster care system?
President Trump and his equally engaged wife, Melania.
Okay. What is the direction that you're getting from the administration at the Children's Crusade that is really motivating you? And where are all the aspects in this country that you are focused right now?
Donald Trump, not his wife, but Donald Trump at his desk at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue at 9 o'clock Eastern this Wednesday, October 2nd, which was my 70th birthday. There were three names. There was actually one logo. This logo, or Children's Crusade, which we could add later. But the three names were Field McConnell, Children's Crusade, and someone you've recently talked to, who is one of my 9 clients, who they represent, the mothers represent 11 children. Donald Trump has blessed my content, my heart, and my mind.
Amazing. Amazing. So when you say he's got 11 families that he's been made aware of, what exactly does he know? And do you have any idea in what he intends to do? Because you've been chartered, your organization, to really ferret out the corruption in CPS and foster care and help really protect and reassemble these families that have been destroyed by the likes of these corrupt family courts. Can you expand on any of that for me?
Yes, and I can add content. You talked about CPS. Have you ever heard of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children?
Of course, they used to be on the back of milk cartons all the time when I was growing up.
Well, my sister started that. Did you know that?
Absolutely did not know that. That's incredible. Okay, so this is a family crusade. It's not just the Children's Crusade. This is a family crusade by the McConnells to go out and save children. Fantastic. Tell us more. My
wife, Denise Irene Clark McConnell, is not within 100 miles of me right now. We will reunite somewhere, but I've been told by a representative of President Trump, I was asked not to fly to an international location on Monday so I could be, it's hard to talk about, so that I could be with my wife on my 70th birthday. So my commitment to little children globally comes before my, well, first of all, it was the president, not him, but one of his close associates gave me the message, don't fly on the October 1st. So here I am. What can I do for you? My wife and I are equally yoked, just like Donald and Melania.
Amazing. Okay, so you were instructed not to fly, But tell me a little bit more about the instructions that you have been given in terms of doing the work that you do inside the Children's Crusade. What is your charter mission right now?
Expose evil. And I could read that, but it's Ephesians 5:11. God himself, not President Trump, who is anointed by God, but God himself asked me to expose evil. I've been doing it for 13 years, and see my hands move? I'm not dead yet.
And we're grateful for that. I agree. I believe this president has been anointed by Christ, and they don't pick perfect vessels for these jobs.
Yep.
And I am thrilled to find that we have President Trump at the helm, because he's done so much in such a short amount of time, despite everything that's been coming against him. I guess Satan has been working overtime and throwing everything in the kitchen sink at this incredible man. But tell me a little bit more. The Children's Crusade, you are traveling around the country and you are meeting with people. We're not going to single out any names of any of the subjects, right? To keep them safe. There's a reason for that. But let's talk about the tactics that these corrupt family courts are deploying and CPS are using in order to single out people and separate them from their children. I've heard most recently some of the tactics include calling people domestic terrorists against, against government agencies, in working with task forces like yourself. Does that fly in the face of basically slapping the president, since this is a task force that's been assembled and deployed by him, when they talk about, parents that have been separated as domestic terrorists working with task force like yourself?
They meaning the bad people, you could say the deep state, be very accurate. The deep state are involved in this, and this would be a great time to show you off the top of my head with who I'm dealing with, where pedophilia is most evident in the courts. I wish I could do it alphabetically, but you haven't seen me look at any notes. I don't do that. It's all right here. If I were any judge or a bar attorney in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Indiana, or Colorado, I'd be getting real nervous right now, because once you tape my words, they will not return to me void without having accomplished the purpose for which I sent them. That's Isaiah 55:11. In the last 5 months, President Trump has changed the penalty for child trafficking. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm going to show you how quickly I can change it. It's all the truth. You're aware of Fast and Furious?
I've been reporting on it significantly over the past year, yes, and held a press conference in DC recently about it.
Has anybody ever suggested to you that there's two people, one male, one female, Eric Holder being the male and my sister being the female, who were leading that in the wrong direction? The Fast and Furious touches on Eric Holder and my sister.
I'm not aware of your sister at all. I am aware of Eric Holder, Hillary Clinton, Janet Napolitano, and Loretta Lynch, obviously involved in Fast and Furious, and of course it goes to Obama. But how is your sister touching upon that?
I'll tell you as soon as I spell her name. Christine, Kristine, Marcy, Marcy. My sister is a 30-plus year bureaucrat. She's like a jack of all trades and a master of zip. But she's a very evil person.
This is not the same sister involved in the Children's Crusade.
No. My wife is involved in the Children's Crusade.
I thought you said you had a sister that was also involved.
Did I say that? No, I didn't say that. And
okay.
If I did, let me correct myself, and then you can edit what you need.
Okay.
My wife, Denise Irene Clark McConnell, that's my wife. She's English. Okay. President Trump has a wife from the former USSR.
Right.
Yeah. Well, my wife is from England. This is a global effort on my part and our president, whether we like him or not. Everyone in America is being blessed by the service of Donald John Trump.
I agree.
I agree. And my wife and I are running the global effort to protect children. And I can already tell everyone in the world right now, right out of my mouth, the Children's Crusade, my name and name you know, were on Trump's desk from 9 to 9:30 on my 70th birthday, which was the 2nd of October, Wednesday of this recent week.
Mm-hmm.
He's already responded. He responded that day to something that wasn't reported until approximately 24 hours. But are you aware that the United States Marine Corps Reserve has been sort of activated?
I have heard that, but I don't have details on it. Perhaps you can fill us in.
It's for domestic tranquility.
Interesting. Are they anticipating civil unrest with news that's forthcoming?
The news is forthcoming right now. The people that have trafficked children are going to be rounded up, and they are going to be given free one-way air transportation to Gitmo, which is Guantanamo, a naval air station and the naval base. And General Joseph F. Dunford stood down or retired
From the Joint Chiefs, right?
From the chief. Yeah. Okay, do you know what day he stepped down? And this is not a test.
I know it's not a test. I don't know. I don't recall off the top of my head. It was recently.
It was Sunday last week.
Right.
Sunday, 29th.
Okay. I knew it was recently, but I didn't know what day or date. It was in the last 3 weeks or so. Go ahead.
You're accurate. It was Sunday the 29th. His new position is overseeing the tribunals at Gitmo, and he's physically there right now, according to my knowledge.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, and so what you are alluding to is that the tribunals in Gitmo are going to be focused right now on child trafficking. Is it just domestic, or are we talking about OCONUS outside the country?
I'm choosing my words carefully just because my knowledge level is not 100%. And some of the stuff I know I really shouldn't be talking because I'd be announcing what they're going to do.
Right.
But, just speaking of the United States, our 50 states and territories, if anybody's been child trafficking, they are going to be arrested. My choice of words is for a purpose. Arrested only means stopped.
Right.
Anybody who's ever trafficked children, they're going to be stopped. Then they're going to be adjudicated in a military tribunal, and they will be given the punishment for trafficked children. And the definition of trafficking children has been changed very recently. If you kidnap a child, you're trafficking children.
Right.
Why?
No, I said correct. I said, I agree. You're kidnapping children. You're trafficking kids. Exactly. Let me ask you something. The change in punishment then, is it capital?
Yes.
It's capital punishment. Okay. That's pretty incredible. That is really incredible. Is this tied back to the executive order of December 21st, 2017, when it talks about human rights violations and asset forfeiture?
Yes.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about that, about what's happening now with the Marines being activated, where you're claiming now that people are going to be rounded up and sent to Gitmo, where they'll be facing military tribunals, and how that ties back into that executive order of December 21st, 2017.
Everything you just said is very, very possible. The way I'm going to phrase this is the Marine Reserves, and I'm eligible to be called up even though I'm 70. So I could be down at Guantanamo in a couple hours. I do not anticipate that. I can do a lot more damage with my mouth and my knowledge than 1,000 Marines with rifles. But you said December of 17 and an executive order. Anyone around the world that has done certain things, they will be captured wherever they are at. But let's go back, wherever they're at, they can't hide. George Soros, I'm throwing that name out there because he's probably one of the worst of the visible people behind the 13 satanic bloodlines.
Are there going to be, George Soros is a name that gets brought up a lot in these circumstances. Are there any other high profile names that you think the American public are either going to be cheering for or are going to have a real problem with? In other words, i.e. the reason we might call up Marines and activate them is to, basically ensure tranquility and address any civil unrest. Are there any other high profile names that come to mind with respect to child trafficking?
Well, my sister, Christine Marcy.
Okay, and what does she do, Christine Marcy?
She exudes evil, but she was a 30-year bureaucrat. She went to George Washington University. Then my parents could detect something wrong with my sister, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
So we were living in Hawaii where I was going to Obama's high school, Punahou, P-U-N-A-H-O-U.
I'm familiar.
When I was there, I was registered as Field McConnell, Protestant, United States. When Obama was at Punahou, he's 12 years behind me, and he's actually 1,000 light years behind me when it comes to this. I don't use a teleprompter. Yeah, there's one right up his whatever you want, nostrils. When he was there, he was registered as Barry Soetoro, S-O-E-T-O-R-O, Indonesian Muslim.
Right.
Well, one of us is living, maybe both of us are. It's been reported that on September 29th, Obama was executed by a Marine Corps firing squad. Now, that's the same day that Dunford got to Gitmo. And Dunford's responsibility at Gitmo is to oversee all the activities of the military tribunals. And I'll just tell you, there's two things that are really, three things, but it's really two. Here's the issues: 9/11 and pedophilia. And 9/11 was treason. And 18 U.S. Code 2382 sets the penalty for treason. And this is really good. It says, anyone knowing of it's called misprision of treason. Anyone knowing of a treason committed, past, present, ongoing, or future is compelled by 18 U.S. Code 2382 to report it, very specific, report it to one governor or one chief judge or justice of any one state. I reported something critical to 9/11 to two governors, Governor of North Dakota, John Hoeven, and the governor of Minnesota, Tim Pawlenty. I'm demonstrating recall. The Chief Justice of Minnesota, let's start with the other one, Vander Wally, that's Dutch, V-A-N-D-E, Wally, W-A-L-E. So the judge or justice in North Dakota under John Hoeven was Vander Wally. The chief judge or justice under Tim Pawlenty, this is really getting good, the content you're getting, was Tim Pawlenty was the governor to whom I reported treason and child trafficking directly to all four of these guys. Why? The law says clearly you're compelled to report it to one power, one office, right?
Right.
I'm not messing around here, and I know how they work. I reported it to four offices: North Dakota and Minnesota, governor and chief judge or justice, and I've given you all their names.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the response when you made these reports?
None, that's a capital. They're not allowed to suppress credible threats. Same with pedophilia. I'm going to demonstrate a little bit more recall. On the 21st of August of 2014, in the jury box in a pedophile case in Pierce County, Wisconsin, before they dismissed the alternate jurors, I was already in the box. I was in the box closest to the judge. And the judge says, before we dismiss the alternative jurors, do any of you 12 persons in the box have a direct personal connection to pedophilia? And I went like this, and I raised my hand, and see, even though people think these judges know what they're doing, no, they're just bank magistrates. They're not judges. But he looked at his cheat sheet. He had a cheat sheet of every name that was on the jury at that time.
Okay.
So he looked at his cheat sheet and he said, Mr. McConnell, you're telling me that you have a direct personal history with pedophilia? And I didn't say yes, Your Honor, because dishonorable. But I said, yes, Judge. My sister Christine Marcy and Hillary Rodham Clinton run the biggest net-centric global pedophile procurement network in the world.
How on earth could your name have ever ended up in a jury pool if that was true? You would think that you would have been scrubbed from the database as somebody who could never be picked for fear that that exact thing that you just said happened could have happened.
It did. It did happen.
I know, but I'm shocked that they let it happen is the point. I mean,
Well, they expunged it from the record because he immediately, now how professional is this for this court jester? The judge immediately did this, Ann. Too much information, you're excused. Well, they're in a little hot water now because we're on mainstream media. And I'm saying once again, on the 21st of August of 2014 in Pierce County District Court, the judge asked me if I had a connection to pedophilia. The short answer is, yeah, my sister's doing it.
have you ever tried a citizen's arrest with your own family member?
If you can instruct me off camera, send me that. I mean, I've got a lot of people. I got 13 people around me within earshot, and they're writing notes, every one of them. Listen, I think she's already arrested. She may already be executed. She ran about 6 months ago to the City of London, and I'm not challenging, I'm allowing you to confirm the truth. You know that the City of London, COL, is not the same as London, United Kingdom.
Right.
Okay, the Jesuits in the Vatican are not there for Christian leadership.
Right.
Okay, good. And the City of London is not. The Vatican runs the lack of faith, my choice of words. The City of London used to run the world's global financial center. As of today, the City of London is defeated. Vatican Jesuits are defeated. The Marines are deployed for domestic tranquility. And between the 29th of September and this very day, our whole world has had an inversion. But it started a long, long time ago. In fact, in 1763, a guy over in Germany, one of the Rothschild persons, his name was Amschel Mayer, but they didn't change their name to Rothschild yet.
Right.
Rothschild turned to Adam Weishaupt, I can't pronounce it, but who can, said to Adam, 1763, can you figure out how we can create a new world order? Now, the next time you, Ann, heard of the New World Order, it's when George Bush, the old Bush, yeah, he said we're going to have 1,000 points of light. No. We're going to have 1,000,000 points of darkness.
Right.
Yeah. And anyway, this Adam Weishaupt, 1763, started the rollout of the New World Order. And the target date, this will give you goosebumps. They fully intended, they worked a couple hundred years in advance. It was, first of all, it's been stopped, so your listeners don't need to worry. The New World Order is stopped. It was stopped because the target date was 2018 to 2020. I know you remember what happened on the 20th of January of 2017.
Of course.
The people that were, of course. Boy, am I glad you got that fast. That means I know who I'm dealing with now. Yeah. Well, there's a new sheriff in town, and the world is going to be blessed in a way they've never anticipated they could be blessed. There's been so much oppression. Luke 4:18, it's my opportunity to say to your live camera that I'm quoting, I'm not saying it's me, but it says, I have been anointed to free the oppressed, restore sight to the blind, and declare the year of the God's victory. They say Jubilee. That means money. No, we're going to be restored physically. We're going to have our chains of oppression broken. People that are not awake, global awakening, restore sight to the blind.
Right.
This program right here is going to start it, and you're going to get credit for it, and you're going to give credit to God, I hope, because that's what God's doing. He's using you, who's very professional, and he's using me, who's a total loose cannon. But that's what I am. Wait a minute, I got a picture of an airplane up here called Troublemaker. My dad flew Troublemaker in World War II, and he was so good at what he did, they gave him the biggest weapon that was ever put on a B-24 bomber. And 3 Japanese fighter pilots shot him down. 12 men were on the airplane when it went into the Yangtze River. 8 of those 12 men died in the ditching. That means crash in the water.
Right.
We had my dad was one of 4 men that got out. My dad was from Los Angeles, specifically Hollywood, so he spent a lot of time at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And he was fairly big, not as big as his Marine friend, but he got out. And when they came, the ship they were attacking, here's some history that nobody will learn in college. Our aviation assets went after the Japanese merchant shipping, and the Japanese air assets went out of, they were after our Navy. Think Pearl Harbor.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, my dad survived. He was one of 2. He only survived because he was from California. He was very good in the water.
Sure.
He's stayed underwater. Water slows down bullets, and it also redirects their dynamic.
Trajectory. Yep.
Trajectory was the very word I was looking for. Thank you.
No problem. No problem at all. Wow. Fascinating story. What a brave man. My dad was in World War II as well, but he was a test pilot. Some of his very good friends were with the Flying Tigers, most notably Ed Rector. So
my father flew the bombers that supported the Flying Tigers. My dad was flying out of Kunming, Kunming, on the 18th of April of 1944, because when they didn't have to support the Flying Tigers, by the way, I like to be specific, accurate, and lethal. My father flew the B-24, but they had the same airframe built to haul fuel for the Flying Tigers. And that was C-109. So, I promised you content that's verifiable, and nobody else could give you this array of content. Go ahead.
Citizens of the country have not been woke. They became complacent when our economy after World War II took off. And while we've had ups and downs and tax problems and so on and so forth, when you look around the world, we still are the best place to live. But quickly we're giving up that standing in the world to the globalists who could have easily taken us down to one of the worst places to live, because they really wanted to see the demise of this country. And you can see that through all of their agendas. Tell me something, Field. What's next here for the Children's Crusade? What do you expect to happen over the next couple of months that's going to be impactful to reuniting families and basically ending the corruption that we know is going on now in CPS and foster care?
I know a fair amount about it, and it's only because my sister effectively, with Hillary Clinton, they effectively ran global pedophilia. It's all about money and organ harvesting. Okay, I've got grieving mothers calling me, emailing me all the time, because I'm the face. The only reason I'm the face of this, well, my wife and I run the Children's Crusade. My wife's British, and she's not here now, because when there's a threat on someone's life, if 2 people that are equally yoked are in the field of vision of the unseen shooter, you could both go. And it troubles me to think of this, but if I go down, my wife will take over. And if you've ever seen a wild bear with 3 cubs, the father's not around because he doesn't have mammary glands. The mother's around, and you even look at one of her cubs, and she will claw you to death.
That's right.
My wife gets involved. I always try to make, my wife's a quiet person, but don't mess with her, anyone. Because if you pull her into the boxing ring, she's going to have a chainsaw.
Well, I like to say that I'm cut from the same cloth. I've been known by my kids and family to be called Crocodile Mom. So I believe that never, ever get in the way of a mother defending her children, ever. Because
that's why these mothers are calling me, and I can. Yeah, we'll take care of all of them, guaranteed.
All right.
Has already done it. I know what he's doing. I'll give you the deadline. You asked me for how soon. November 10th is the Marine Corps birthday.
Okay.
You don't have to write it down, because November 11th is a Veterans Day.
Right.
There may be a gathering in Texas or Washington, D.C., or Wisconsin or London, and the announcement of what Donald Trump has already blessed. He's already ordained it. This is going to sound egotistical until I give you the punchline. He signed an executive order at 9:30 in the morning on my birthday, 2nd of October of this year, 2019, and the executive order put into play the restoration of all those families and the execution of everybody anybody in this country who's trafficked children. It's a capital offense. And they will be rounded up, and they will get their just reward.
Incredible. Let's talk a little bit about the fake courts, because these fake courts have been operating with impunity now for, gosh, years, forever, right? There's absolutely no controls here. We're starting to really understand the judges are in bed with the social workers, who are in bed with the pediatricians, who are in bed with the other attorneys, and so on, and the adoption agencies and the foster care. They're all making money. They're all having their skids greased by state and local, state and federal grants, right? Money that's coming through taxpayer dollars to fund the separation of families, generating parental alienation, and destroying lives, and of course, increasing the child sex trafficking industry exponentially. So, fake courts, fake news. How do we solve the problem of the fake courts? Is there going to be a change in how the court system is adjudicating problems inside a family where you need possibly to step in and protect a child?
Attorneys that are members of the American Bar Association or the British Accreditation Registry, every single such attorney was, past tense, working for the UK Crown. The monarch, well, today's queen probably, today's monarch is probably Queen Elizabeth II. But if we haven't suffered a royal death in the recent past, we're about ready to. And I don't know who it is. It's coming. But anyway, the resolution to crooked attorneys, which is all of them, but they can all change. Just like I used to be a sinner, and I'm no saint, but I'm a different man than anybody knew in 1994, the 1st of February. What was old was gone, and a new creation was made. Every single attorney, every single judge, no matter how full of hot air they are, they're all going to be ordered by President Trump to re-swear their oath to America, not to the United Kingdom and the Vatican Jesuits. Trump's already got that going.
Is that going to change the accreditation they get? Is it no longer the bar exam then? Is it going to be renamed to something else?
They're all going to be, their names are going to be changed from attorneys and judges and all that to lawful, that means common law, lawful counselors.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all, okay, that goes right back to Luke 4:18, free the oppressed. Every American today, and most of them can't spell oppression, sadly. And my heart goes out to the people who can't figure this out. But God prepared me on the 1st of February of 1994 to become a new man. I can guarantee you under Trump, we're going to be a new nation, and the good people are going to be supported abundantly, and the bad people are going to have capital punishment because they never should have touched one hair on one head of one child. And the Marines are coming. Donald Trump called up the Marines in the last week, probably the last 3 days. It's all over the news. It's probably the first thing encouraging I've seen in the mainstream media. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a compliment here, young lady, but your show, if this ever sees the mainstream media, your name will be in history for helping the Marines and Trump restore America.
Well, in any small part we can help in educating the people that need to understand fully what's going on, because there are some seismic shifts happening. A lot of people that have been following this closely, I call them the 3%, not to, I should say, just like the revolutionary 3% that won the war back in the 1700s, there's a 3% today that are in tune with all the intricate details of what's going on inside the federal government and the geopolitics that are behind what's going on inside the federal government. So hopefully those of us in the 3% club can just be satisfied with the fact that we are in the 3% club, and I don't need fame or notoriety or anything like that to make me feel better about the work that I do, and neither should you, and neither should anybody inside that prestigious group, because really it is the 3%ers out there. We're not the 80-20, we're the 3%ers, so I'm good with that, as they say.
So is Trump, and so are the leaders of the Marine Corps, and I'm going to rattle them off. Joseph Dunford, Mad Dog Mattis, used to be the Secretary of Defense, and General John Kelly used to be the White House Chief of Staff. Marines can be moved around, and that can confuse people. But guess what? We're here to defeat the enemy, not to keep everybody in America informed but I'm a bird dog for Trump and the generals. And those generals I just rattled off all came into the Marine Corps. They all became Marine officers. After I did, I'd like to give one number to you, 0116513. Don't write it down, I've got it. That's my Marine Corps number, and it predates the other Marine Corps officers because somewhere behind the 4-star leadership are some really accurate snipers. I'm a legal, lawful. I don't need a gun. I have them. Friday night of last week, so that's 9 days ago, I had a gentleman in my house who he was providing security for my house, and I was providing security for him. Somebody knocked at my door, and I said to the man's name, I'm going to give him a Bible name, Doubting Thomas. I said, Doubting, I'm going to go to my door, but look what's in my right hand. And he saw a loaded .357. And I said, I've got some more ornaments around the house, because someone was very close to getting a round out of a .357 if I didn't like who I saw. But we'll stop at that. I don't want to be threatening, but I do want to address, I know exactly 3 of the ladies who've been called domestic terrorists. They are domestic. They're American people. We're domestic. They're not the terrorists. I am. I just told you, I'll meet anybody at my front door when it's dark. If you don't call or email, I'll meet you if you can get through my 2 big dogs. And if my dogs can't smell you, and they can, my dogs will alert me if anything moves. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm afraid of falling 1 ounce short of God's expectation for me to serve him for his creation, his creatures, and his world. I'm like John the Baptist. I'm telling you what's coming, and what's coming is going to be good for the United States of America. It's going to be good for the world, and it's going to happen before the Marine Corps birthday, because when I celebrate a birthday like I did on October 2nd, I get cake, I get presents, and it's my great present to have this opportunity to play the part of John the Baptist and tell you Jesus is coming. But before Jesus Christ comes, the Marines are already deployed.
Good to know. Send in the Marines, as they say. Very good to know. Field McConnell, we have to leave that as the last word for tonight. But it's an honor and a pleasure to meet you. You're doing great work out there. Truly, some families in need are blessed to have you looking over their shoulder for them so that they don't have to. And I'll be anxious to see what happens on the Marine Corps birthday, which is coming up on November 10th. And actually I guess it's almost a month, a little bit more than a month from now. So we'll be watching and waiting to see what happens. Clearly, the president is making the right steps with the act he signed on the 1st of this month to start to dismantle the American Safe Families Act that President Clinton signed in, which has unfortunately done more harm than good. In fact, all harm, no good to families in the United States. So it's an honor. How can folks follow you, Field, on Twitter and on social media?
Whatever that Twitter thing is, I'm FIELDMCC. I have a YouTube channel called Able Danger Livestream. Seems confusing, but Livestream Vimeo took my content off. Let me stop short of asking you what county in Florida you're in.
I'm in Palm Beach County, hanging Chad hell, as we say.
There's a woman attorney in Broward County who has misrepresented everything she's ever done. And before I go, and you can edit anything you want, but I'll show you a book written by Timothy Charles Holmseth. And the name, I'm not going to name her, that's ungentlemanly. I'm a heterosexual male. I love females. I have 5 daughters and I have a wife. But there's a woman from Broward County who wants me dead. Do I look dead? I'm not dying for an attorney. I'm dying when Jesus Christ, Father, says, Field, come home and get your reward. I'll be on the next flight.
Amen to that.
Amen.
I am down with that. Field, thanks so much for coming on tonight.
Please subscribe to our backup channels, Whirlwind Revolt, Inglorious Patriots, and Net for Truth USA 2 Patriot channel. You can also find us at Net4Truth USA on BitChute. We fly so close to the target, we're on our 4th fighter jet. We will be relentless truth seekers until the enemies of freedom are defeated. You can support this channel by using the links in the description, but for a $100 donation, I will personally send you a autographed hardcover special edition copy of Land of Childhood's Fears. Also, visit my bookstore at lulu.com/Net4Truth USA. If you are viewing this video on BitChute, you can use the links in the description to support us, or simply click the green $ dot on our video to support this channel. Thank you. Links are in the description section.